What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got yet another awesome knife review slash overview to do with you guys. Before we get too far, I want to point something out. I've made a small quality of life improvement on my channel. I can now do this, and I can get up close and personal with these knives and give you guys definition on the part of the knife that I'm trying to emphasize with whatever point I'm trying to make. I was getting really frustrated with the quality of my videos, and I'm not an expert on cameras or anything like that, so I just could not figure it out. I ended up just downloading a different application altogether, and I think this is for the better. If everything looks better to you guys and you like this quality, please let me know in the comments section. I really want to make sure that this channel is the best that it can be, so I would really appreciate that. Anyways, if you're new to my channel, I like to do knife reviews, knife overviews. I like to do battles with popular models. I like to do unboxings. I like to do top 5s, top 10s. So if that all sounds good to you and you're a knife enthusiast and you like watching channels that upload 5 to 10 times a week, this might be the channel for you. So please do subscribe. And also, if you've not made it over and filled out a form on Nick Shabazz's Best New Gear Reviewer contest, head over there. If you enjoy my channel and you want to fill out a positive review form for me, that would be fantastic. But also check out those other gear reviewers because there's a lot of good content out there. Anyways, let's go ahead and get some size comparisons going with this Kizer Begleiter up against the Ontario Rat Model 1. The Rat 1 coming in at 8.6 inches overall. How about the Spyderco Paramilitary 2? Spyderco PM2 coming in at 8.3 inches overall. How about the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue? Ritter Hogue coming in at 8 inches overall. How about the Spyderco Delica? Spyderco Delica coming in at 7 inches overall. So, interesting. How about some measurements? Well, you usually do measurements first, and I just kind of skipped right over it. Overall length of this Begleiter, I might be mispronouncing it, guys. Forgive me. A little bit over 8 inches. It looks to be just shy of 8 1/4. Maybe 8.1, 8.15, something like that. Let's do the blade. Blade length on this guy, about 3.55, 3.6 inches. Cutting edge is probably 3.3. Interesting. Okay. And another small quality of life improvement. I put batteries back in my scale, so it's actually lit again. Weight on this guy, 3.74 ounces. Let's flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. 3.67 ounces. So not a heavy knife, under 4 ounces for those of you who really like knives that are under that 4-ounce mark. This is an interesting knife. It's a very simple design, very common knife design. I think I said that when my wife and I talked about this one. Going over the anatomy of this knife, what you've got is a thumb stud deployer, and you've got a flat ground classic drop point blade with a matte gray finish. You can see there. Now, this is an opportunity to show off how important it is to get that up-close look. Because I don't know, a lot of times when I talk about stuff and I try to get up close and I can't get close enough, or the image is blurry, it just looks bad. So the blade looks really nice. I'm a big fan of gray coatings. Now, I don't know, this appears to be a DLC coating, though I don't know 100% for sure. This knife is part of Kizer's Vanguard series, which is, Kizer knives are all made in China. They're not made in the United States. They have kind of a premium line, and then they have this line, which is more of their budget line. So this knife comes in at $59, I think, on Blade HQ. Comes in a bunch of different forms in terms of the G10. I'm sure they've got OD green and tan, just like every knife that comes out. OD green, tan, and black are the first 3 colors, unless the model gets really popular, and then they start offering some different finishes and different materials for the handle. Now, as far as the blade itself, I want to say you can get an uncoated version of this, but I'm not 100% for sure. This particular model comes in VG10. Now, a lot of my viewers have pointed out, hey, they are actually moving to N690 on the entire Vanguard series, which I think is great. N690 is it's a bowler steel, and it's super stain resistant. And as far as I can tell, I've never actually had N690, but the knife community seems to think that N690 is a great steel. So I think that'll be a welcome upgrade to the Vanguard line. Anyways, moving on with anatomy, you can see the thumb studs here, nice and large compared to the rest of the knife. The grooves allow you to get in there and lock in with your thumb on deployment, so that's nice. Moving down to the pivot, you've got a really nice blue on this one, a blue pivot color. Now, I think the color of the pivot color changes depending on what color scale you get, but it looks really nice. Simple Torx head pivot, really nicely textured G10. I'm a big fan of texturing that, does its job, but doesn't tear up your pants. Spyderco can it's not on the PM2, but sometimes Spyderco is an example of a company that has really aggressive jimping. Texturing on the G10. A good example would actually be the Cold Steel American Lawman. Man, that peel ply texturing on that knife, that's some really aggressive texturing. This is nice. It's not going to tear up your pants. Simple handle. Moving down to the screws here, you've got, I think those are actually the same size as the little tiny Torx heads that really make me upset. Yeah, that's that little tiny head size that bothers people, but what can you do? You've got a nice size lanyard hole that's out of the way. This knife does have full steel liners, and on one side they're milled out a little bit. You can see there. This is an open body pillar construction with some nice Rick Hinderer style standoffs, so I'm a big fan of that. Really like non-countersunk steel liners. I don't know, it just adds solidity to a knife, or a feeling of solidity. The pocket clip on this guy is extremely plain. It holds in place. It's got good retention. I don't have a problem with it. It's that shape at the end where it'll probably snag on something and bend off. That's going to happen. The other side mirrors the front side, except for the fact that it has the pocket clip and it's got the non-show side part of the pivot. The locking system is a simple liner lock. You can see there it's locking up at about 50%. The knife did come perfectly centered, and the lockup is perfect. No blade play up, down, left, or right. So as far as fit and finish goes, you guys could see there up close, which again, I'm so happy I can finally do that. The fit and finish is excellent on this guy for a $60 knife. So that's great. No complaints there. All right, so let's talk about ergonomics on this guy. Ergonomically, this simple design in the handle, it's a very thin handle, but very easy to get my hands all the way around. You can see there, medium-sized, large hands do wrap all the way around the handle there, so no issues whatsoever. Really nice. I would have liked, I always say this, I would have liked to have some jimping up here on the spine, but what can you do? It's a lot of times they don't add that because it ruins the look. They want clean lines, and on top of that, I would not call this a hard use knife. And oftentimes, and I don't like throwing around the term hard use, but a knife that's designed for more outdoor tasks, let's say, that makes a lot more sense maybe to have some jimping up there. But truthfully, the construction of this knife, besides its size, is no different really than the Ontario Rat. You've got the scales, you've got the liners, which are about the same thickness. You've got similar blade stock. I mean, other than just the total amount of material, they're about the same. So, I don't know. This knife I definitely beat on outside, and it's got jimping up there. To me, it would have been nice for that to have jimping, but it's not really that big of a deal. The nice thing about this knife is the overall footprint that it takes up in your pocket and how thin it is. You can see there, let's compare it to the PM2 and the Ritter Hogue. Just for it being, close to the same size as these knives, your footprint is just awesome. It's very slim, and it's really just not going to take up a lot of room, and you get a good amount of blade. Let's talk about the blade actually here real quick, because I am a huge fan of not only the shape, but the fact that it's fully flat ground. You can see there from the point where you're going to start cutting, the thumb stud is almost completely out of the way, and given the starting, the stock thickness of the blade being I think it's about the same as the Benchmade. Maybe a little bit thicker, maybe 0.125. But you're going to have a nice functional edge and nothing for the material you're cutting to get hung up on. You know, there's no swedge or enormous flat. It's just a straight drop, which is nice. You know, that's the reason that I enjoy the Ontario Rat or the blade on that knife so much. It's nice. But the nice thing about this blade is the start of the cutting edge, or where that sharpening choil is much closer to where your finger is. It's always nice to have that as close as possible, which is why I prefer forward choils so much, but still out of the way of the thumb stud if that's going to be the deployment mechanism. Moving on to deployment, this knife runs on phosphor bronze, which, can we get in there? Can we get in there and see? Is that going to be possible? I don't know. You can kind of see them in there. It runs on phosphor bronze, and it does deploy readily. It's got kind of I mean, it doesn't have a smooth action. I imagine it'll break in. Like my Rat has broken in and it's smooth. It's not like I don't have a drop shut action on this guy, but it's smooth. This still kind of feels a little bit gritty, and it's probably because of how new it is. The nice thing with this is how much room you have to get your finger in there. I would have liked them to just kind of scallop this out a little bit. Just, I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's just like a shelf that drops off. But it's easy to get in there, and then you definitely have room to engage that liner lock and get your thumb in there, so that's nice. As far as just straight up function, this is a very easy knife to simply pull out of your pocket, deploy, use, and then put it away with one hand, which is really all that I can ask of a good folding knife, or any folding knife, really. Can I pull it out of my pocket and use it and put it away? Yes. So as far as the look of this knife goes, I like it. As far as the functionality of it, you know, it's great. Fit and finish is great. All that stuff is great. The only thing that I don't like about this knife is the fact that it's VG10 and that it's 60 bucks. But I don't want to complain too much about that because, like I said earlier on in the video, Kizer is moving their entire Vanguard line to N690. So for this particular knife, you know, if you like the Begleiter or the Begleiter or however you want to say it, I would just wait. I mean, if they're gonna, I don't know that they're gonna upgrade like retroactively all of their models in the Vanguard line to N690, or if that means that every new model in their Vanguard line moving forward is going to be N690. But if you like this knife and it turns out that, you know, I'd say wait a little bit. If it turns out that they keep making the Begleiter or Begleiter and they do an N690 version, then definitely go with that, because at 60 bucks, I think it's a great deal. So this particular version is not going to be 100% recommended by me. It's not going to go on that playlist of my favorite EDC stuff that's passed through my hands on this channel. But if this were the N690 version, it definitely would. So keep your eyes out for that. And you know what? If you just can't wait and you don't mind VG10, then go ahead and pull the trigger. This is a great knife. I like this. Wish the action was just I don't know, wish it was just a little bit smoother. Maybe it's different on different models. Wish that pocket clip was just, I don't know, it's just kind of boring. You know what else I just realized? The G10 scales are cut ever so slightly. They're kind of shadow boxed by the liners. And that gives the knife this kind of, it's a little bit of a polished outline look to the scales. And it's, I don't know, it's a nice touch. I always like that. When it's done too much and there's too much scale showing, I don't like it. But this is just enough. And I like that pivot collar. That's a nice touch as well. This is a great knife. I can see this knife doing well as an office carry knife. I don't know, I mean, this is one of those knives that's just kind of the just right size for a lot of things. You know, if this was your dedicated EDC, it's the right size. It doesn't take up a lot of room in the pocket. It's fairly lightweight. It's got a good multi-purpose blade shape. Definitely. I mean, it's a very boring blade shape, but it's definitely going to get the job done. I really like this knife. And I think that's just about everything I have to say about it. So anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like. So check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, then please subscribe to my channel, because there's definitely more coming. Like I said, please let me know if you guys think that this the camera quality is better here. I really, really hope that this was easier to watch and just better on the eyes. So anyways, guys, thanks again for watching and have a great day.